Alright, we're going to do a video today. Hopefully you've watched some of our fishing videos, fishing the outlet, and fish a lot of current in that and limited confined space, so it takes some pretty tough gear. We're going to talk to you about what I use and then what Gail uses. Some of this stuff I've just started using this year and have been really pleased, and we'll go through all that and hopefully gives you some good information. My main rod is a St. Croix, actually both of them. It is a Legend Tournament 8'6" big dog muskie. It's a extra heavy fast action. I really love that rod. Its weight is 9.7 ounces and it is brutally tough. Love the rod. Never had any problems with it. I like the split grip. Been a very good rod, taken a lot of abuse. I've had it probably 6-7 years. My reel is a Pin Fathom 40 LW. Definitely some overkill, but fishing that current, I like to have a ton of line on my reel. If you get a hold of some really big fish, getting them up to the top, they'll have a tendency to go on downriver a ways, and I don't want to get spooled out. So do you really need that large of a reel? No, but I like having the extra line capacity. Plus I can retie hundreds of times, and fishing in that concrete and in those baffles that are below the water, you want plenty of line to retie. Pin's been a really good reel. It's same age as the rod. I've had zero trouble with it. Absolutely cranks them in. I really do recommend Pin reels. Been a good reel. My line, I just started using this year, and it's the Whisker Seeker. This spool is 30, which is what I use on the smaller rod. We'll get there in a minute. I use 40 on my bigger rod. Have nothing but good to say about the Whisker Seeker line. It is a very small diameter, which I like. Knots tie very easily. Very little memory and very little stretch, which is probably what impressed me the most about that line. High vis orange, pretty easy to see. Probably green color might be a little easier, but it works well for me. I have no problems with that line, and will probably stick with it until something else comes out that's better. But right now, that is my go-to line. I've used several different brands that were good lines, but the Whisker Seeker has been really good for me. Other rod here is a St. Croix. I do like the St. Croix rods. It's a Mojo Muskie. It is the 7'6" heavy power, fast action. Been a nice rod. Haven't used it as much. When we have a little less current, or I'm bank fishing in a lot of current, I'll go to this rod just because it's a little smaller, easy to cast from the bank if you're around some trees, stuff like that. Been an excellent rod. Not quite as heavy and stiff as my Legend Tournament, but the price is really reasonable in my opinion on these rods. It's been a good rod. Brought in some pretty nice fish with it. Very light too. Very light. That's when you're holding a rod all day long in your hands, which I do a lot. I love the light rods. Very tough. Like I said, not quite as sturdy as the big rod, but nothing but good to say about this rod. I go to a Pin reel. It's the Squaw 20 LW. Not quite as much line capacity as the big reel, but it still holds a lot of line. And been a very, very good reel. I've had it about 2 years, not one single problem. It casts really smooth for that large of a reel. Has worked very well. Highly recommend them. Again, I really enjoy the pin reels. Reliability, tough, and they're a nice looking reel too. Good looking combination, I think. Now we're gonna go to the hooks I've been using. This year I tried 2 different Gamakatsu hooks, which I'm a fan of Gamakatsu anyways. I use some of their circle hooks. Been really good hooks. This year I decided to go to a more conventional hook, straight shank hook, and started using these 2. And hopefully you've watched some of our videos. These are outstanding hooks. Very, very sharp, very tough. Hold bait well, and I just can't express how sharp these hooks are. If you watch some of our videos, you will see these hooks penetrate the toughest part of a catfish's mouth. Absolutely no problem. Highly recommend. This is the Big River bait hook. I love the wide gap. I like a hook that points towards the eye. As you can see, both of these do. And these hooks have a really nice offset, something I really prefer. Get this one out. You can look at that. It has a nice offset. And so does the octopus straight shank. Nice offset on that hook. I'm still kind of old school. No problem with the circles. But I found these and definitely gonna order some more. Again, we'll talk about our whisker seeker. This little rod has the 30 pound. As you can see, it's very small diameter. The 30 has worked excellent too. We fish a lot of rocky stuff with current. Has been really good. Highly recommend it. And we've got a little bait sink or bank sinker here. We pour our own, and that's a video to come. We'll show you some tips and tricks on pouring lead. But as a general rule, that's what we use. Sometimes we use the flat bank sinkers. We just thought we'd show you that. Homemade sinker, do it molds. We'll get you a video on that stuff. Like I said, show us some little tricks to making a really nice sinker. Doesn't have cracks in it, anything. Just some little tricks we use on that. Anyways, that's my main gear. We're gonna do some drift fishing trips later in the season. I use a little different rods for that, and we'll go through that gear later on. But that's what I use. That's my main gear for the big flatheads. Haven't caught any big ones yet this year, but that's yet to come, we hope. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. We'll turn it over to Gail and we'll show you what he uses.
Gonna go over our rods today. These are the new Big Cat Fever Hellcat rods. Took me forever to find anybody that had them. These are both extra heavy, 7'6" rods. Double nut on the reel seat. They got metal reel seats, which I really like. This rod is running a 10 squall 30 level wind, which I haven't used yet. We just put that on there Saturday. But it's running 30-pound slime line, and we do use the deep sea setup on it with the extra clamp, just to make sure if something were to come loose, that reel cannot come off of there. Got it on both setups. They're bait clicker reels. This one's a Fathom 2 50 LW from Penn. I've been using it. Haven't had any problems out of it. I think there's 30 pounds of drag built into each reel. And I can hold the fish between the wall. He don't get out till I let him out. So far, I haven't hooked anything big enough that would pull all 30 pounds of that drag. but it's the same reel, 7'6", extra heavy. This one's running 60-pound slime line, which is probably bigger than I need, but there's a lot of concrete, a lot of rocks, a lot of gar. There's no telling what's under the surface of the water, and I don't like losing fish. It holds good. It takes a lot to tear that line up. The 30-pound orange is a high vis, but the green to me is a whole lot easier to see. I can see it all the way down to where it goes into the water. If the water's moving pretty fast, I lose the orange once it gets down to the surface. But I bought, these are both 1-pound spools of line. This one had 1,750 yards on the 30, and there's 960 yards on that green. And that sounds like a lot of line, but when you're running reels that big, that don't spool the reel that size up very many times. And I hate running out of line. That stuff I can't buy around here. I gotta order it, and it, you know, I don't want to be down a week or two waiting on line to come in, so I'll order a pound of each at a time. And I've had, this first year I've used it, had really good luck with it. It's only broke on me one time, which was my fault. We fished all day in the rocks and hadn't caught anything, so I didn't worry about retying it. Lost a pretty nice blue cat at the bank. His line broke. That was completely my fault, not the lines. But as far as hooks go, I've been running, this is a Team Catfish 8/0 circle hook. When you compare that, this is a Whisker Seeker 8/0 triple threat. You can see the bend in it. And this is a Whisker Seeker 10/0 triple threat. And you can still set the hook. I mean, you don't want to jerk on it, but if you give it a slow rise, it will still set like a traditional hook. That's why they call it triple threat. And I've had good luck with them. I haven't really lost any fish that I'm aware of that actually bit it without playing with it. If they don't, you know, bite good, it doesn't really matter what the hook is. If the thing ain't in his mouth, he ain't gonna hook it. But they set good, they're sharp. I mean, they go right through like there's nothing there. Other than that, I mean, really not a whole lot of difference. They're identical rods, basically identical reels, just one's a little bigger than the other. All right, I hope you enjoyed watching our video on type of gear I use. Hope it was informative. Gonna show you one of our Country Quest tips and tricks before we end. They're very serious. One of the things I do to protect my rod, the big rod is 8'6" and just lacks, oh, it's probably about a foot, sticks out the back of my bed. Go to Walmart, wherever, get you a pool noodle, and I cut it off to the length I need. Slide it on my rod tip, and while I'm traveling down the road, that rod isn't bouncing against the tailgate, putting little tiny cracks in the rod. Just a little tip I thought I'd show people. I've had a few people ask about it while I was out fishing. I even cut one for the butt end. My truck's got bed liner, and if you look close, it's rubbed a little. I noticed that the other day, so I cut one, pop it on the end there. Just kind of keeps your equipment in a little better shape and from getting banged up on tailgate. Thought we'd show you that today. So if you're hauling your rods, short distance or long distance, use that. Helps extend their life.